like it sucks and it's allowed to suck. Like I just want it to suck for a few minutes and then we can deal with fixing it. But I want to feel bad about this for a moment.
Time to be so vulnerable with the squad.
We've had a moment. We've steeled ourselves, but we're bringing the defenses down. We want to talk about like we are not perfect, although I believe he's perfect. No, we're all in this together. But sometimes we'll see people popping into our comments saying like, "Oh, we're Mr. Perfect. We have it all figured out." And I think I comfortably speak for both of us when I say that is not the case. We are constantly in progress. I always say in like my Instagram bio is just a guy trying to be a better man. And we thought we would talk about, some of the ways that we are still works in progress as it relates to this work as we're growing as men. And to kick us off, I'll say one for me. And we've talked about this a little bit on this ride, but I am absolutely one of those men who has a tendency to solve a problem before I allow someone to feel seen and heard for their feelings. An example that I will give you, I have an ex-girlfriend where we had a dog, and the dog, right after we had gotten her, peed on her shoes one day. And my girlfriend at the time was very upset about it. And my instant reaction was like, oh no, like, no, it's not a big deal. Like, we clean them, I'll dry them, blah, blah, blah. And she's just a tiny dog, it's whatever. And she got mad at me and she was like, no, like, it sucks. And it's allowed to suck. Like, I just want it to suck for a few minutes and then we can deal with fixing it. But I want to feel bad about this for a moment. Like, I just want to acknowledge, this isn't great. And that was one of the first times for me that I started to like process and understand this idea that it's not always about solving the problem, which is the traditional male model in these communication structures, but it's also about hitting pause, making sure someone feels seen, heard, held, that their emotions are acknowledged, and then you can together move towards a solution when that person is ready. But I know that, and that's also an area I still continuously screw up. So it's an area I'm absolutely trying to be better. And you might watch me in a video talk about the need to do that, and that very same day see me screw it up. But hopefully, I'm reducing the amount that I do that every now and then.
Yeah, thank you for that share. It's vulnerable, and also you're not alone in that at all. I think that I have had to work very hard to maintain or build my emotional presence with my own family. I have worked very hard to create a sense of safety in my relationship with my mom and specifically my sister. Like my older sister, Emily, she actually goes by Love a lot of the time because she wants to bring love into the world and like be a beacon of love, which is a beautiful, really beautiful chosen name for her that she's kind of tried on more recently. And I have often centered myself in my own healing journey with my father wound and with my PTSD. And I think it makes sense in some ways. And also my sister also grew up with an abusive father, also has complex post-traumatic stress disorder, also does not have any older men in her life who are safe and loving and kind and so she doesn't have a lot of these same examples that I like suffer from. And so there are times in which I forget I am also a reference point for my sister in a way that she is not a reference point for me, because I'm lucky to have like our amazing mother and, so many amazing women in my life, including my sister. Like I get the most amazing older sister. And so there are times in which I have reacted very, defensively or trying to over-explain or justify myself when my sister tries to kind of constructively criticize me or point out something that I'm doing over the years where I was not a safe person to come to with that criticism. I was not a safe person to come to for her to say like, hey, this is an area where you're missing the mark, because I would get very, very defensive. And so it has been again, like very recently that I'm working on just being the best brother I can, like actual brother I can to her, and a safe man for her to come to where, hey, you can come to me if I'm doing something wrong. I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to abandon you. It's not going to fracture a relationship. I'm actually going to be grateful for you for opening this for me. And that's taken place a lot in the last year. But yeah, it's been really, really tough to basically like rebuild trust with my sister. And there are still times in which I am not there. So that's one of, and like my whole brand is, hey brother Johnny, like I want to be a brother to the world. And I think I do that so well in so many spheres of life and with so many relationships. But the one in which I'm constantly like hey, I really need to work, continue to work is with my older sister.
I feel like if you bring even a smidgen of what I've seen you bring to your interactions with your extended family in the past week, like I know that you are channeling that energy towards the right direction, and I'm excited to see how that relationship with her continues to develop for you. I hope to meet love one day so I can experience that love.
You guys will get along great.
Yeah.
You both tell stories about how silly I am.
Yes, we will absolutely be swapping stories after this. I'll say another area that I struggle, which is something we've talked about on this trip as well, though not on, I don't think on camera yet, is I am absolutely still unlearning some internalized homophobia, as all of us have in this patriarchal society we live. Because, and for me, I know the way it is manifested in my inability to name my queer identity. In the past 5 years, have had a more open sexual journey than I had previously, which has allowed me to act on some thoughts and impulses I had for a number of years. And I have been not uncomfortable with those experiences, but uncomfortable in naming myself into that category. And there's a lot of reasons for that, some of which I tell myself are not feeling like I get to claim that title because I didn't have it for the longest time. But even if that is true, that still has to do with I didn't do that because of that ingrained homophobia. So I'm continuing to work on unlearning that so that I can be a better example of like living as an authentic whole self, to the whole world, or at least to my universe of it.
That's a beautiful journey to be on, and thank you for that vulnerability. You're getting courageous on this video.
I mean, it helps to have you with me for it.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as well, as like a queer man who has struggled with acknowledgement of that and then championing that as part of my identity for a variety of reasons, but a lot of them have to do with internalized like homophobia and biphobia that I wrestle with. And then another component is like wondering, which on the program in Galapagos that I was on, being openly queer and having a really close relationship with one of the other participants who's a trans man, and we ended up being a support system for some queer and trans kids on the island because they're so such a minority of the population of kids. And they like Gabo ended up going to one of these kids' parents for like a whole day for lunch and some tea and coffee and stuff, and talking to them to help support that parent in how do I show up for my queer kids, which is amazing. And then I also had moments of like texting and being like just being a support system and back and forth and some side conversations and like, hey, especially trans masc kids, like you are leaders in your school in showing people what healthy, wonderful masculinity can be, and so don't try to change yourself to conform to what these other boys are doing. Like you get to show them what they should be doing. And so it's a way in which this like queerness and acknowledging that in myself and being more open about it has been amazing and has created a support for other people and an inspiration and relatability where people found none, and safety for people who didn't realize that like someone who sometimes presents and acts and looks like me actually has this level of sameness. And then at the same time, I've had this great trepidation around like I'm someone who wants to continue to work with children, especially in the US, but around the world there are a lot of stigmas with homosexuality, with queerness,
and working with kids.
Yeah, and working with children. And also a lot of the men and boys who need my work the most might be most resistant if it were coming from what they know is a queer man. And so is my queerness so front and center enough for me, or like so important to me as front and center communicative in all spheres of my life, that I'm willing to let it close the doors of, again, men and boys who really need this work, who are very patriarchal and would otherwise be receptive to me because I am traditionally masculine in some ways, but I operate with this level of fluidity that can really disarm them and make them feel comfortable, or like can respect me because of athleticism or like something that and so I think I've chosen that path. Like I want to reach as many men and boys as possible. And so I'm willing to like be more selective about how and when and who I share that with. But the older I get, the more I realize like I should be proud, and also I get to choose when and how I share. But my decision to close that off or keep it more private is a privilege because I can be straight passing,
Right.
especially as the world gets more and more progressive. And some of the same guys that used to shove me off of fraternity stairs and call me the F slur, those guys now wear dangly cross earrings, some of them, right? So it's like the needle moves,
Yes,
and
yes.
homophobic men who are patriarchal and bigoted get like present in a different way, but like their values are still the same.
Yeah. They wear a new mask.
Yeah.
As Ashanti Branch might start to talk about our friend. I'm sitting with what you said at the beginning there around like the way that you and your colleagues showed up for the trans and queer youth in the Galapagos. And I think one of the things that's so beautiful about you is like you never just go somewhere. You really like leave something there. Like you're kind of like a whale. Like there's a footprint after you have been there. Like you've had an impact. You've left something there, whether it's, the family that we've spent time with in the past week, whether it's this community in the Galapagos, whether it's what you currently have left behind in Ohio, like the program you built. Like it's really something to be able to not just say like I was somewhere, but like and that's a family of baboon running across the road. Look at that. Wow, nice butts. That's really beautiful, and that's a really amazing impact to have. And I think very few people in the world can say that they do that when they go somewhere. I'm going to name one last one, whether you want to do a third or not, but I'll say I'm working at being better. I'm working about being better and more vulnerable in one-to-one situations instead of one-to-many. I'm really, really good about being vulnerable on this camera. I'm really, really good about being vulnerable when I'm giving a speech. Like truly, no limits. Like I will go anywhere. But it's so much harder for me to do that in one-to-one relationships, and I know that because I have had partners tell me before, I didn't know about X until you said it in front of those people. And it was like, and they say that as like, well, how come you didn't tell me? And sometimes it's, well, maybe I've never thought about it, but there's more to it than that. Just because that topic didn't come up, sure, but also why didn't it come up? Why didn't I bring it up if it's something that's so significant and important? So that's something I'm really working on, because I think talking about vulnerability, talking about having rich communication and relationships is such a key part of the work that we do. And I do feel sometimes like I'm letting, a vinyl record store, I'm letting my partner and myself down by not continuing to build that muscle in my current relationship.
Dude, we all, man, yeah, that's, you're not alone there at all. And I deeply resonate. Yeah, absolutely.
I always say I think it's a control thing, because I think when you're talking one to many, you still get to control the experience, the narrative, the structure. Whereas when it's one to one, you're equal co-pilots in the dialogue. And so I think for me, maybe there's a subconscious, even though I'm vulnerable, my defenses are down, I've still got everyone in the palm of my hand here. I get to decide how they engage with me. And so maybe subconsciously that's why I do that. I don't know, just me hypothesizing.
Yeah. No, I think it's good to ask yourself that question and hypothesize. Thank you for that vulnerability in this one-to-one context, even though the camera is rolling. And I applaud you on your journey to do that. I know that your partner and so many more of your relationships, friends and family, will benefit from you working on that actively.
Yeah, absolutely.
To know you is a gift, right? Like to know more parts of you authentically is a gift.
All
so yeah.